Okay, so the next video here is going to be pretty short. This is just going to go over resolving Prism real quick. Uh, you can find the resolving Prism formula in the optical formulas tutorial book, page 125. But I just went ahead and wrote them down here. So if you're resolving Prism in the vertical, you're going to use the Prism given and the angle given times sine. If you're doing the horizontal, it's going to be the prism given and the cosine of the angle in the example. One way I always easily remembered this, if you're testing and you feel like you can't remember for sure, is that to me the horizontal and the word cosine or COS, for me it was like horizontal and coast. Both are horizontal, so it was the easiest way for me to remember. You want to think of some other way, please feel free. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So I have just two examples, and you guys are too familiar with my artistic abilities, so you're just gonna have to suffer through this. And I apologize, my camera can't seem to back this up anymore. If we had some grids here, and I'll just go ahead and start with the right, with a prescription of +5 and a given combined or resultant prism of 1.65 at 63 quadrant 3, we would have this example up here. If this was a half, 1.5, this would be about 1.63 at a 63-degree angle, quadrant 3, which means if this was a right eye, it would be out and down. And then there is the formula written out. The prism times the cosine of the angle, so 1.65 times the cosine of 63, 1.65 times 0.45. It then gives us 0.74, and it has to be base out because a right eye quadrant 3 is out and down. In the vertical, prism times the sine of 63, 1.65 times 0.89 gives us 1.47, and that has to be base down, again, because we've out and down in quadrant 3. Left eye, we've got 1.11 at 37 quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, in a left eye, if this was 0.51, this would be about 1.11. It would have to be in and up. We then go to the prism times the cosine to get the horizontal, work through the formula, we get 0.89. It has to be base in. Left eye vertical, prism sine of the A, 1.11 times sine 37 brings us down to 0.67, and again it has to be base up. Now I did just one more for anybody who's slightly confused with this at all, where instead of giving it to you with the quadrant, I gave it to you with the full angle. So like here I wrote 1.75 at 313, which is the same thing as saying 1.75 at 47, and in this case, quadrant 4. So just in case you were confused, just quickly go through this. If you're good, you can stop the video. But if we had 1.75 at 313, 313 would be down in here. For a right eye is in and down. If this was a half, 1.5, this would be about 1.75. This angle here is 47. We run through the formulas. We end up with 1.19. It has to be base in. We end up with 1.28. That has to be base down. Left eye, if I gave you 0.85 at 142, it essentially is the same thing as saying 0.85 at 38 degrees, quadrant 2. Left eye, quadrant 2, has to be in and up. We run through our formulas. We get down to 0.67 base in, is, again, it has to be base in. And then we run through this one, we end up with 0.53 base up, okay, because it has to be base up. The only thing I put on here that's even slightly different is this says -5. This was -5. On the previous example was +5. The only difference is going to be on the lensometer. You're going to have to move the lens in the opposite direction to be able to determine the resolved prism or resultant prism, or anytime you're moving a lens in general. Any questions, again, let me know on the discussion board.